Hello and welcome back to my channel. I don't know if the top of my stack of books here is in frame, but if it is, welcome to my Canadian TBR. So in front of me are all the books that I own that I haven't read by Canadian authors, which are the books that I will be prioritizing if I can throughout the month of July, because Canada Day is July 1st, and especially during that first week. Luckily, one of these books is already on my TBR, and another one is in one of my upcoming videos, so I do have reasons to read them, and I'm hoping that I can work some of these into my Booktubeathon TBR, but we're gonna get to that when we get to that, but let's just get into it. It's a wide mix of genres, but I'm excited for all of these books. And of course I'm going to start off with my cozy mysteries, because whose channel are you watching? And they're actually both by the same author. And the first one is By Book or by Crook by Eva Gates. This is the first book in the Lighthouse Library Mystery series. I bought this last year to read during the readathon, but I did not get to it. Eva Gates is a pen name for Vicki Delany, which is the other cozy mystery that I have on my Canadian TBR, and this is Hark, the Herald Angel's Sleigh. Obviously not going to be reading this week. I am saving it for Christmas, and she has her fourth book in this series coming out. I think it's in October. Have pre-ordered it, so I'll be reading both of those in December. Then, continuing on in the mystery theme, I should have stacked these books better. I have A Red Herring Without Mustard by Alan Bradley. This is the third book in the Flavia series. I hope I said that right. And it's one of my jar picks for this month, so it's definitely going to get read. I normally read these books in December as well. I don't know why. But I like this series a lot, so it's good. And then the final two mysteries that I have are Louise Penny's books. So I have A Fatal Grace and The Cruelest Month. This is book 2 and book 3 in her series. This one used to be published as Dead Cold, in case you're wondering. Yeah, I love Louise Penny. I'm excited to read those. I guess from there we should go into thrillers. That would make sense. And I only have two, and they're both by Shari Lapena. I have The Couple Next Door, which I believe is her first book, and I also have An Unwanted Guest, which is, I believe, her latest book. Saving this one for Christmas time as well, because at Christmas I like to read about murder, apparently. But, you know, this is a good contender for the coming month about things that I will read. That's enough theming for this TBR. The rest of it's just going to be whatever's on the top of the stack. And we're going to start with A Newfoundlander in Canada by Alan Doyle. This will probably be the nonfiction that I read in July, because I try to read one nonfiction every month. Then I have a YA novel called A Thousand Nights by E.K. Johnston. There's a lot of books by E.K. Johnston which could be on this TBR, because I would like to read some of her books. But this is the only one that I own, and I am looking forward to that. I believe it's a retelling of Arabian Nights, but do not quote me on that. That stack was getting dangerous. And then I have one that I borrowed from my mother, Moonlight Over Paris by Jennifer Robson. I believe this is actually the third book in a series, but she didn't have the other two, and I'm going to read this anyways, eventually, someday. And then I have one of the books that I'm really looking forward to on this TBR, and that is World of Wonders by Robertson Davies. This is the third book in the Deptford series. This is one of my favorite series, so if you are new here, welcome to my channel. I like Canadian literature a lot, and Robertson Davies is one of my favorite authors, even though I've only read 2 books by him. Then I have Crow by Amy Spurway. She's actually a local author and has written about the local area, so I'm very excited to read this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Then I have a book that a coworker recommended to me. For those of you who don't know, I work at Chapters Indigo, so all we do is talk about books at work, and it's dangerous. And that is The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. I am going camping at the end of the month during Booktubeathon, and this sounds like a good camping book, so maybe that will make it onto that TBR. Then I have a book that was recommended to me by one of my good friends, The Painted Girl by Cathy Marie Buchanan. I don't know what this book's about, so I'm just going to move on. And surprisingly, one of the books that's been on my TBR the longest, The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson, is also by a Canadian, and that has been on 4 TBRs so far on my channel, and I have yet to read it. I'm just gonna shift that book down. The next book I have here is The Colony of Unrequited Dreams by Wayne Johnston. I feel like this is a book to read in winter based on the cover, but who knows what will happen. Then I have The Disappearing Moon Cafe by Sky Lee. A lot of my favorite Canadian literature books have been about Asian Canadians, so high hopes for this one. And then finally, the last author that I have here that is technically a Canadian is Margaret Atwood. So I have The Year of the Flood, which is something that I want to read in July because I read the first one in this series last July. So this is the second in the Oryx and Crake series. Then I have The Robber Bride and The Blind Assassin. Currently, The Robber Bride is the only book that I can think of that has purple on the cover, and that makes me worried. So I'm going to have to go through my collection to find one that has purple on the cover. That is not an absolute brick for the booktubeathon, but I got these to match my other editions so that, oh dear, that I could make Delany after I finish reading them all. I think that this is a really cool publishing idea, and emblem is the best. Now, I said that that is the last book by someone who is technically Canadian, and that's because I also consider Cathy Reichs to be on this list. This is her first book in the Marie Brennan series called Déjà Dead. I believe that Cathy is actually American, but she works for the government of Quebec as a pathologist, as well as one of the governments in the States. I don't remember what one. Or a forensic anthropologist. I'm counting it, and it does appear that Temperance Brennan is in fact in Quebec at the beginning of the book. So I think that counts as part of my Canadian TBR. Fight me if you want. Please don't fight me. I am very sensitive, and that would not end very well for me. But that is all the books that I have that are by Canadian or Canadian-esque authors. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I did do 2 videos last year, one of Canadian books that I have read, that I own, and one of my Canadian TBR. I will link those both down below, and they would have been in the cards at some point during this video in case you wanted to check those out as well. You can see how my Canadian TBR has progressed, or not progressed, as the case may be. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Happy Canada Day.